Explosion! FlyFox. Alright, so it finally came. This is Earthworm Jim Launch the Cow by Doug TenNapel. And I finally got it here. I'm going to do my unboxing because Doug has asked people to do that stuff. And as you can see, the box itself is pretty neato. It's got artwork on the outside of it here. And I blacked out my address, but it's got a cow on this side and different characters on the sides of the box. So let's go ahead and open this and see what we've got. What's this? I stole your books, but here is a consolation prize. The Grinch. Captain America First Spectacular Issue. Rob Liefeld and Jeff Loeb. That's not much of a consolation prize. Neil Adams' Batman Odyssey. Oh, jeez. Expanding Earth. Well, looks like they were stolen. That stinks. Well, maybe I don't know. That sucks. And I got crappy comics in place of it. No, I'm just kidding. Here's the actual books right here. So I actually did a real unboxing video. Went through all the special prizes in the book, in the box, and oohed and awed over how much free stuff was in it. Was disappointed that I didn't get the golden ticket to get a free piece of art, but the audio on the video for some reason was quite terrible, and so you can't catch the magic of opening it for the first time again. So instead we're going to do a little review just of the books themselves. Let's start with the making of Earthworm Jim. As you can see, these books are pretty hefty. They're got foil on the sides, on the edges, and they really look like something, like money was actually put into them. Like Doug just didn't take the money and ran, The paper's nice and thick, and there's a lot of information in this book. Here's pages of an early Earthworm Jim comic that Doug did. You can see that the basic story of the Earth, the suit falling to Earth and lighting on Earthworm Jim's all there, of course, from the video game. And it talks not only about the video game and how that got developed, how Doug got started out, how he developed the characters, where the ideas came from, but it talks about each person that worked on the video game, in a major capacity at least, and how they got involved in it, what they're doing now, type of stuff. And then towards the end, it talks about the making of the graphic novel. It goes through some of Doug's process. And this is a really neat idea, these making of. He did one for Bigfoot Bill, which I didn't get because I didn't back that in time. And I ended up buying it on eBay with just the comic. But I wish I bought the making of Bigfoot Bill, because these making of books are really interesting. And I think going forward, as independent comics hopefully grow, or at least sustain, more people will do stuff like this. There's a lot of gimmickry in crowdfunding. I'm not the hugest fan of trading cards, and posters and stuff are cool, but after a while you don't have any space for anything else. So something like this, just a book, where you can, even if it's extra money, where you get more bang for your buck, so to speak. You're actually getting something cool and supporting the crowdfunding initiative. And I hope more people do things like this. Of course, not everybody has something as big as Earthworm Jim. And so not everybody's going to be able to make a huge book like this. But something like that, talking about their process, or just something more substantial, I think would be good. And I like what Doug TenNapel's doing with this. Now, moving on to the main book. Again, high quality. You can tell that he really wants to make quality product for people, and so you get a quality product. And it has these beautiful in sheets, I guess you'd say. With this art, I think is done by Alejandro Mirabal. And you just open it up and you can tell that there was love given into this, you know. There's this silly little pull-out page here with a joke, a meta joke about how dirty living rooms are, which is funny. And there's jokes just all throughout the book, and it's what you'd expect from an Earthworm Jim comic book. You know, irreverence, silly, scatological humor type stuff. But Doug put so much time and effort into this. The way that he did this artwork with ink washes instead of just inking it, you can tell the difference between this and Bigfoot Bill or some of his other works, where he wanted to make this look different. He wanted this to look epic and unique. And that, coupled with the colors by Catherine Garner, someone who's worked with him for a long time, just really looks amazing. It really looks good. And I would say that it looks better, in my opinion, than Bigfoot Bill did. However, I do like Bigfoot Bill, the story, a little bit better. I thought the story for this was good. Again, you got to think he's restrained to what he created in, according to his testimony, 45 minutes, 30 years ago almost. He's a little bit constrained with the story in the characters. They can't deviate too much from that original video game, television stuff, because it's a clearly defined character. But he does do a good job of establishing the world and making you feel like, yeah, there is going to be this epic story. And he says he's planning on doing a five book, what do you call it, a pentology or something? I don't know. But this debut book is really good. I just happened to find Bigfoot Bill to be a little bit more interesting. I actually didn't play Earthworm Jim as a kid or watch the comic, but I knew about him. Watch the cartoon series. I knew about him, but it wasn't something that I watched. It wasn't something that I played. I didn't have a video game console. I saw people play it. I wanted to play it, but I never got the opportunity. But it's still part of the culture, and it's something you don't usually see. The original creator of something coming back almost 30 years later, having the opportunity to tell the story how he wants to tell it. And, in all honesty, I could see this story as a DreamWorks movie or, an animated movie really easily. I think it would be really easy to adapt this into another piece of media. And that just shows how Doug writes, because he's spent so long working in Hollywood, writing scripts, making pitches. He knows how to tell a good story. And even though he did have some constraints on this one, I think it does show that he has that basic storytelling down, not just in the writing, but in the artwork itself. And I've heard some people say, oh, well, it's simplistic, or, it's not as detailed as a Mike Miller or Ethan Van Sciver, someone who draws more realistically. But at the same time, it takes a lot of knowledge in order to make something simple, look simple, but also good. There's a lot of information in these panels. There's a lot of gesture and motion that looks real and alive. And sometimes you don't get that in a more realistic comic book. It takes a lot of skill to make things look alive. You just look at this kick and it looks like Jim is moving backwards and Psycho is moving this way. And that's just one panel out of how many? But you can see the artwork just looks amazing. And I'm excited for Bigfoot Bill 2, which is coming out in February. If you didn't back that one, there's going to be a second printing of the first book with expanded content, which kind of stinks for me. I wish I had waited instead of buying it off of eBay, because I don't want to own the same book twice. But I digress. The quality of product that you're getting with Doug it's just substantial. It's pretty impressive, and I think that people should be supporting this kind of effort, this kind of respect for the consumer, respect for the audience, wanting to deliver, and not just to take advantage of a following that you've grown over the years, but to really fulfill what people would want. And I think he did a good job with something so nostalgic as Earthworm Jim. So again, I didn't really get these terrible comics. That was just a joke. This is really not a great comic. But it's Rob Liefeld. What do you expect? I do enjoy this comic, though. It's kind of fun for how terrible it is. Yeah. As you can see, the Rob Liefeld in this is just... I mean, it's... Whew, there is some Rob Liefeld art in this. Like, what's this random splash page turned sideways? That's 90s, huh? It's fun. Alright, you didn't come to listen to Rob... You talk about Rob Liefeld. Came to be talking about Doug TenNapel, and yeah. Make sure you sign up for the mailing list at it's on here. EarthwormJimComic.com. I think also Doug T Comics, maybe. Just look up Doug TenNapel online, and you can find his mailing list, and you'll want to find that so that you can be reminded of these crowdfunding things, because I've crowdfunded stuff in the past that I then forgot to crowdfund the subsequent volume and miss out on it. And that kind of stunk, because I had to go back and get it other ways. And it didn't feel as special as supporting it right out from the get-go. So, yeah, I recommend these books, guys. And make sure you get the making of books, because these are great. I think a lot of people think, you know, I don't really need it. It's a little bit extra money. But I think it's worth it. You're getting another book. And if you're interested in the process of making a comic book, or in this case, a video game. So if you're interested in making a comic book or a video game, I recommend this, because there's a lot of good content in there about art in general. So it is extra money, but I think it's worth it. You're going to get... Doug's always going to provide you with quality. And I think he's shown that both on Bigfoot Bill and now Earthworm Jim. He's dedicated to making this stuff great. And so, as far as my review of the book, the art is great. The story is fun. It's very funny. A lot of good jokes in there. The humor that you'd expect from Doug and from Earthworm Jim is represented in this book. So I'm excited to see where it goes from here. Next year, of course, will be Volume 2. And I hope that you guys will support it as well if you haven't already. Think about backing these, and not just Doug, but some other creators. Brian Shearer's Gunship Thunder Punch looks awesome. That's still available to pre-order, as well as Doom Kicker, which Doug wrote, by Elliot Fernandez, which I love Elliot's art, some of my favorite artwork, and he's working hard on that, getting that done. Again, Doug wrote that. It's a little bit more mature book, but I think it's going to be great. So, yeah, support independent comics, and look out for Earthworm Jim Volume 2, Bigfoot Bill's campaign. For the second book is in February, and that should be good too. Adios!